streaming.
Yep, do that. See
So,
what happens next.
this thing's kind of probably going to be like, hey, we detected your... I'll be like, "Wait."
Just sit there in silence like we did last time, and then we got to make sure everybody actually is being heard. That was funny. People really seem to enjoy that, actually. I think Corey said like
we're good to go here.
Corey said like, "Oh, this is the best stream ever. I love the first few minutes because nobody could hear anything."
Hopefully they'll be able to hear. Add a title. What's the title of this thing?
We're not dead yet.
We're not dead. The CanadaGuns Talk Show, episode 95. We're not dead yet! Exclamation mark.
Guns Talk Show.
Episode 95.
95. I'm just gonna simple.
We're not dead yet.
I'm going live. It says we've been live for 2 or 3 seconds. I don't know if that's real or not.
What happens if I refresh that? Will it show that there's something going on?
Are you like watching from? Are you on the interface thing?
I'm in the page.
Like we're live. We're live.
Are we live?
Yeah, we are. Is that the old one? That's the old one.
Videos live.
Here, I'm gonna send you a link that will allow you.
Oh, wait a minute.
Monitor.
Oh, there I am. Cool. That's nice. I like this. What happens if I click on that? I don't care if we're live. Does it matter? Has it ever mattered, Adriel? Welcome to the CanadaGuns Talk Show, episode 95. I am your host, the Grover. I think the title is We're Not Dead Yet, and as you can clearly see, we are in fact still not dead yet. Who else is here? Say hello. Somebody, please.
Hi.
Grace.
Hello.
Adriel, hunting gear guy. You guys know us. Adriel, we're gonna jump head first into this because you're the one that's actually doing something right now instead of just fucking waiting. What are you up to, Adriel?
All right. Well, I'll go over what I did this weekend, and then I'll crack into this guy over here.
Yeah, man.
Let's see. I went shooting. I went to the range, and I shot a Savage 64 takedown and a Savage A22. Takedown was predictably like not fantastic. It ran mostly, gave me a couple jams, and the accuracy was not great. But that's what I expected out of that gun. I said all this on my video. It's the cheapest takedown 22 you can buy, and then someone's like, "No, it's not. You can get that Chinese Norinco thing for cheaper." And I'm like, "Yeah, I didn't think about that." Then I went and bought one of those. That's sitting right next to me here, and I'm going to crack that open just here. The other thing I did, I shot the A22. A22 trigger is like real weird. It's really need to let off of it before you can pull it again. Like it's good trigger press.
So the reset is stupid long or something?
The reset on the way out is pretty long. Yeah. But the actual trigger press is all right. The accuracy was really good. The cycling was nice and smooth. There's a couple of, like, that rifle is very close to being like a very good semi 22 rifle, especially for the price. I think that if they were to replace a couple of the internal parts with just better quality materials, I think that would be a better rifle than the 1022.
Ooh.
Easier to take the bolt out. The controls are just a little bit more ergonomic and easier to use. The mag was good. Like yes, the 1022 mags drop free, but the rifle has to be perfectly vertical. You have that thing canted a little bit and press a button, nothing happens, right? Whereas on the Savages, you pull that little guy and it pops right out. So I think there's a couple things on that rifle that are much better than the 1022.
Right.
And a couple things that aren't, and then they still need to work on those. Then the other thing, my buddy was like, "Hey, I just got this email that SFRC has M57 Tokarevs on sale for $189. I'm thinking of getting one." I'm like, "No, you're not. I'm going to get 2, and I'll sell you one." Because shipping and whatever, right? So
we do that with a couple of friends.
I looked at the Nork Tokarevs because I had one of those before, and I looked at the Russian ones because I had one of those before, and then the Yugo ones that were on sale. Those ones are, the grip is just a little bit taller, and they hold one more round in the mag. Now that was interesting to me because my last experience with the Tokarev was the sights are terrible, the trigger pull is not good for a single stage trigger, and my pinky can't grab onto anything, so it just kind of like hangs off the bottom of the gun. So I was really interested in one more round, one more pinky, maybe a pinky on the bottom of that thing.
Нет, товарищ, pistol is fine. You are a problem.
These are the Yugos, and they want to like improve on everything in the 90s and 80s and 90s and all that kind of
Is
stuff.
why товарищ Stalin tried to assassinate Tito. He blasphemed against glorious pistol of Tokarev.
And he blasphemed on the SKS too, because they had some weird like grenade launcher thing on the end of that guy.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
they're fucking
yeah.
cool, and they command the premium, even though they're the exact same thing as every other SKS out there. And if anybody gets annoyed at that, prove me wrong.
Like I haven't actually owned one, so like they might be better. Maybe the quality's better. I don't know. Like some of the Russian ones are really nice.
They're more expensive because they can be sold to America.
They can? Oh, right.
That's
That's not a Russian import.
Yeah, yeah.
Or a Chinese import. Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, I ordered a crate of ammo and a couple spare mags from TradeX Canada. They had the spare mags for the M57, and they had the crate of ammo with free shipping. Important. And the free shipping applied to my mags too, so I got free shipping on the whole shebang. And I ordered that on the weekend, and like Monday by noon, it's like, it's in the mail. Love TradeX. Love those guys. Anyways, and then yeah, so I was going through my comments, and I saw one guy, or actually two guys on my Savage 64 takedown video, and they're like, no, the Nork JW20 is the cheapest takedown 22. And I looked at the price, and I'm like, oh man, I had one of the Browning ones before, and it didn't really excite me that much. And this one doesn't really excite me all that much either. Smells of rich Chinese oil from the 90s.
You mean tank gear oil?
Yeah, it comes with a manual, and the manual is really old too. It's you can tell it's probably a 90s made gun, because the manual's really old, and some of the things on here, the smell of the oil, some of the different finishes and that kind of thing. I think this is an old stock gun that they meant to sell to the Americans, but just couldn't because of the mid 90s import ban. There's a couple reasons why I think that. This little guy, that little guy doing on there, doesn't belong on a Canadian rifle. There's no sense in having a threaded muzzle cap for a Canadian rifle. For an American
Is that
rifle.
half by 28?
Oh dear. Let's find out.
Oh dear.
Oh no. What? Well, I could just, it's a gem nut. There we go. You need a nice big break on there, right? Better not do that and bugger up the threads.
I wonder what thread is on that.
Something else.
Oh, you know what you can do? You can take the
takedown.
You can take the takedown barrel into Home Depot and just stick it into the display case and see what thread pitch is that.
Stick it into the oil filters.
Ooh.
Sorry, I'm just looking. Yeah, I need a solvent catch for this. I better not even.
What is
say
that?
Oh,
it's a piss.
I haven't done that.
Piss of an engine.
I haven't done that for anyone watching. It's probably illegal. So this is a takedown 22.
Still probably
these
about
things,
it.
Yeah, these things are really neat. So part of what makes them neat, you loosen this guy off the back here, and usually they don't come out. Interesting.
That's Chinese quality for you.
I'm pretty sure that's not supposed to come out.
No, it's not supposed to come out. You feed your shells in there. Once you're done, you pop this guy closed, and there's a charging handle around the bottom there. So the thing that's interesting about this one, I think, is that the receiver is tiny. It's got a tiny little receiver on it, and bottom eject. So there's your charging handle. That grabs a round out of your mag, and that chambers it. So that's kind of interesting. It's got like a tension collar on the top here. That's kind of hard to grab onto with these vinyl gloves on, but you have to loosen this thing if you want to loosen off the barrel. So pull that off a little bit and skitty like that. A couple of interrupted threads on the barrel there, and tuck it into your backpack and go for a walk or whatever. Right now, like the Brownings are like $700, So like to throw this into a backpack, you're gonna ding it up and mess up some of the finish. But $170 Nork, who cares? Who cares? So now I'll do a review. Cheapest Takedown 22.
Excellent.
That's what was really bothering me. I just needed to do this review. Now, one thing I can say, it's not super tight. The fit on this thing, so I think that I might be messing around with the fit on it just to see if I can't get it nice and tight on there.
Nice.
Hold back. There we go. Yeah, but interesting little rifle. I don't know. Sights are poo. There is a scope mount you can get for this thing, but it's like it probably costs like half or more the total price of this rifle.
I
so what's
forget if the new Brownings come with the 3/8 dovetail or not.
The new Browning SA-22s?
Yeah.
I thought they, like the one I had a deal like this. They got these two little screw things that go in the barrel, and that's it does like a cantilevered thing that goes over
I
top
couldn't remember if they did or not, because I know this is designed from like the 1900s.
It's an old design. I don't think 1900s. Yeah,
it is like it was designed by Browning. He died in like 28. So
yeah, I think he's right, Adriel. Pretty sure that's an old as fuck design.
Sweet. It's a cool design. I really like if you were a lefty and you wanted something that worked lefty or righty, like this would work just fine. Getting rounds in next to your face instead of on the other side, but does it like you got to point them down anyways to get the rounds to feed in there, so that doesn't matter.
Does it have a safety?
Yes, it does.
Crossbolt
right there.
Nice.
The side there, like a bigger, flatter piece, and on the other side it's just a button. So kind of interesting. I mean, the machine work on it's very rough. The edges on this charging handle are very rough. The edges on the receiver are sharp. I think I might dehorn those a bit with a file, but
what's a file? I thought did you mean Dremel?
Dremel, sorry, Dremel. Dremel, or like should I use a Dremel or should I use a grinder? Just
grinder.
Touch.
Zit, zit, zit.
Whoop, too much. Yeah. I think that's it for me.
Yeah.
What about you?
Me?
Yeah.
So, since the last time, I've continued my trend to buy guns for the PAL courses because I got my certification. And so, the latest one is because the course is old and antiquated, we need a single action revolver.
Well, I mean, people could shoot cowboy action. You are in Alberta.
Yes, and if they were to do that, they would be boring. This thing is so freaking chunky because it's hard to tell, but it's a 357 Magnum.
Is that one of the Ubertis?
Pieta.
So just as bad.
No, Uberti's fucking amazing. What are you talking about?
I thought that their revolvers were garbage, and it was their rifles that were good.
I have no idea. I'm gonna be honest. I know that they're a fancy fucking Italian company, and they make repros, and they're expensive as fuck. As to whether or not the revolvers are good or not, I do not know. However, what this is a true copy of a Colt Single Action Army 1873 model of 357. That's weird. Why 357? Because I already got the dies and all that shit, so might as well.
It'll shoot 38 as well, right?
It sure as shit will, and that's what this guy had been shooting. And I picked up this gun for $325.
Nice. That's cool. That's a cool pickup for $300.
Yeah. And if you're not familiar with single action revolvers because you took your PAL course 25 years ago, this is how these things work. So the trigger does nothing unless you fuck around with the hammer. And there is no way to pop out the cylinder easily. There's a way to remove the cylinder, but not easily. There is a loading gate. And if you want to rotate the cylinder to check to make sure that there's nothing in there, you have to put it into the half cock notch. And then you can fuck around with each chamber and use this here ejection rod to poop out any empties.
See, when I did my course, half cock wasn't where I thought it was on the single action they had, and so I actually couldn't prove it safe, but I managed to pass the course by explaining how to prove it safe.
I found out recently that the Ruger Blackhawks are single action revolvers, but they have a really stupid way of working the action. They don't have a half cock notch, and they don't have a safety notch, which I forgot to mention, which is when the hammer is down, technically the firing pin is resting against the primer. So, in the spirit of the Old West, this is true to the design where there is a third position for the hammer called the safety notch. That takes the firing pin off the primer, and it also locks up the cylinder. So you put it into the half cock, and you can spin the cylinder freely. You can close your gate, and if you so choose, you can pull the hammer all the way back, bang, and feather the hammer.
Ooh, that thing lets you do that.
Just like the Old West. There is no disconnector on this thing. And it's heavy. I'm going to reiterate, this thing is just a piece of metal. I mean, look at the size of the bore and look how much metal is around that thing. Like, this is a chunky little revolver. And in the traditional style, it's got the funky little grip. And there is no easy way to hold this and shoot, because even with a low grip, the hammer is just about to start touching my palm. Okay? So you have to hold this thing super awkwardly and super low in the grip. But it does shoot, and it's got a very heavy single action trigger pull because, well, there is no other safety on this thing. And the sights are terrible. There is a trough on the top of the top strap, and it's got a very tall and very nice front post. So if I want to shoot this thing, I'm going to action proof this guy. Oh, fuck. It's all the way back. Okay, there you go. No, all the way forward. Come on. Okay, there you go. There's nothing in there. So if you want to take a look at what the sights look like, it's pretty terrible.
Ooh.
No, but you did not prove it because you did not examine the bore on that firearm.
Shut the hell up. I need a pencil.
You gotta aim it at your
need the
face.
wooden dowel and
No, you gotta aim it at your face.
You can do that. Actually, I do have the light. Let's see.
the firearms.
Yeah, it looks good.
The book specifically mentions for single action revolvers that you are not to point them at your face because you can't see shit.
You can. Well, you can. Actually, I could see, but whatever. So yeah, this is the last of probably every single action revolver that I'm ever going to buy, unless something weird happens, like I get into cowboy action shooting. Then I actually have a story regarding that Smith & Wesson revolver that I was planning to use for the course. Needless to say, I went and I bought a Alpha Proj 251 or something like that. It's a 22 double action revolver for $325. No, actually for $300. I'm going to go pick it up tonight. That was just $300 for a double action revolver.
Now, for that Colt you had, the Pieta or the fuck, how do you take the firing pin out without destroying the gun? Does it just screw off?
It's kind of hard to tell, but if I catch the light, there it is. See, there's
there's a
literal pin holding the thing in. So I can knock out that pin and take the pin off and the firing pin off. So that's easy. For the Alpha Proj, it's going to be a little bit more involved because it has a frame mounted firing pin. So I'm going to have to disassemble the action to take out that pin. But that is what I'm going to do. As I mentioned, I was planning on using a very, very, very nice Smith & Wesson Model 19 in 357 Magnum for my double action revolver. But I went into Cabela's and I bought that for $450. And I still don't have it 4 weeks later.
Why not?
The registry is investigating it.
Oh. That's an interesting thing to hear about a gun you just purchased.
Yep. It was in the gun room at the local Cabela's, which, if you don't know, is just the used gun section. So Adriel and I have a theory going on. We think somebody had a service gun go missing and registered it under their name, and it has now come up once more into the system, and questions have been raised.
Do we know that they were using Model 19s as their service guns? Because I thought the 28s were the preferred ones.
Who knows? But some fucking guy in some backwoods RCMP office had us as sidearm because, back in the day, shit was kind of not that standardized.
Yeah.
There are 22 Smith & Wesson K22 Masterpiece revolvers that have RCMP stampings on them because they were cadet training guns.
Huh.
So it's been 4 weeks, and I finally, after 3.5 weeks, was actually able to contact the registry, because every time that I would call, the CFO would give me the runaround and say that, oh, it's with the registry, so you can't do anything. Oh, it's with the registry, so you can't do anything. And so, because I was calling and saying, what's the holdup? Can I do something? Because it's been 2 weeks, because it's 3 weeks. And if you don't know, and you're about to start having even more ill thoughts towards Alberta, transfers in Alberta usually take 1 to 2 days.
Yeah, and you can actually contact your CFO, and it doesn't just disconnect your call because they're too busy to deal with you.
Yes.
Those Tokarevs that I bought, transfer is done in a day.
Yep. The Yeta was a day. The Alpha Proj was a day.
My Bursa was 2.5 weeks, and that was fast.
Yeah. And so after 2.5 weeks, I started asking, well, can I talk to somebody? And they would say, no. Well, can I talk to somebody? I would call again. No. And then last week, I talked to the 4th, 5th person that I've talked to about this. And he says, oh, yeah, if you want to, you can talk to the registry. And it's like, okay, put me through to the registry. And I promptly got a voicemail, and because there was nobody to pick up. So I tried again, and I asked this time around to be transferred to the registry. The guy that I got is like, well, why? It's like, because I want to talk to somebody about a transfer. Like, well, you can talk to us. It's like, no, I want to talk to the registry. And I'm sure he just kind of held his breath and went, okay, because he just didn't want to transfer me, but I managed to get transferred to the registry, and I actually managed to talk to a real live human being. And she said that the analyst in charge of my transfer was unavailable, and that she would send her an email so that she would contact me. And then I promptly never heard from them again.
Sounds like a nice way to PFO.
Yeah. And I called yesterday again, and I tried to speak to the registry again, but this time around, instead of having a voicemail, I was just on hold, and I talked to the CFO lady again, and she said, okay, I'm going to contact the analyst and see if she can contact you. And this morning, I received an email saying the firearm is under investigation. There is nothing you can do about it. And I replied, it's like, okay, can I know why it is under investigation? And I still haven't heard from them, because that was.
I'm pretty sure the answer to that question is no.
If it's being transferred in my name, I have a vetted interest on this firearms investigation. So I might hear from them. I might not. If anything, if I can be told, no, you cannot know why it's being investigated, I will go to Cabela's and speak with them at that moment, because there is $450 tied up on a gun that I may not be able to own. So what are you going to do, Cabela's? This is now your problem. As much
to which
as mine.
I think Cabela's response is going to be, tough titties, you can wait.
If they say that to me, I'm going to say chargebacks are a thing. You better be doing something about it.
I got this.
Well, what I wonder is, how in the hell did this not get caught when Cabela's took possession of the fucking thing?
Why did it take getting transferred to a person? Maybe it's something different with the business. You might have some insight into that, but I doubt it.
I didn't work with our business, didn't do pistols. I know when I sold mine to Epps, though, I literally just brought it up there and left it with them. I didn't have to do anything. They just yeah, leave it here, whatever.
Maybe.
You know what might have happened?
What?
What if they sold a gun with the wrong serial number?
Oh.
What if they sold the wrong one, and now the investigation is like, you mean XYZ, not ABC. And they're like, oh, damn it. That one went to Bob. And now they have to, I don't know, remail the other gun or something. Eh? What do you think of that?
That is a possibility, but also, what's the likelihood they had two nearly identical Model 19s?
Well, I mean, one of the things they do, at least, especially, like, I bought this one today, they have a second person verify the serial number of the gun that you're buying. It's doubtful that kind of thing could happen, but
I'm gonna go with my old service revolver. Somehow ended up in somebody's private collection.
well, hopefully you get to know afterwards.
Hopefully, I get that fucking gun because right now I'm not going to deface the Smith & Wesson when I have a $300 Alpha Proj to fuck around with. So I'm either going to keep that gun because I don't have a blue revolver, and that makes me feel like less of a man. And now, if for some reason my penis size does not in fact change when I acquire this firearm, then I might just flip it and make $150, selling it for $600, which will still be the cheapest Model 19 on the EE. Like, those guns go for $750. I can sell it for $600 in an hour if I wanted to.
That seems really expensive because I remember they used to be like $550, $600 when I was looking for my Smith & Wesson.
No, this is a Model 19 and it's in good shape. Like, the only thing that's wrong with it is that, like, the grip is a little chewed up in the backstrap area, but that's basically it. Like, the gun is mint. Like, the gun is mint. Doesn't even have muscle wear. So that's kind of where my idea that it's a service revolver kind of falls apart, unless it was a service revolver for somebody that actually didn't use it. Which,
I mean, the cops never used their guns.
Exactly.
So
right. So
they would have a bunch of holster wear on them, though.
Not necessarily if it literally just sits in a holster.
Yeah,
doesn't get shot.
Like, you're talking an old revolver that would be sitting in a leather holster. The finish would, like, worn on it.
Yeah.
Not if it. Maybe it was a sidearm. Maybe it was just somebody's. Like, I don't know. We still don't know what the fuck is wrong with that thing. So who knows? Then a couple of other things happened. SFRC, for some reason, had a pile of used 870 police barrels that were 14 inches and had modified chokes. Now, for those of you that are not an 8.7 enthusiast, the 14-inch barrels that are available in the Canadian market, more often than not, are cylinder bore.
So how many of these barrels did you buy?
3.
I knew you would have bought at least one of them.
Yeah. Here it is.
Now you're gonna take that mount you got and then go and fucking master key that shit underneath your WK.
I fucking wish. I'm gonna shoot trap with this thing.
No, you gotta do that and then shoot trap with it.
I could, but then it'd be prohibitively heavy. So
that's not what matters. What matters is pissing off every FUD at your fuddy ass range.
Yes. Speaking of, but we're gonna talk about that after. So yes, this barrel, it's weird. I think it's blued.
That is weird because normally they would be Parkerized, wouldn't they?
Yeah, Parkerization is a matte finish. It's slightly glossy matte finish. This is a slightly glossy, not so matte finish.
Huh.
And the other two barrels, actually, they issued that these things were $150. And they were $150 because they were police barrels that were for some order that the SFRC had, and they were beat to shit. That's how, like, they literally described them. These are in rough condition, no guarantees on what it is that we're going to ship you. So I put in the comments, please at least ship me something that has the most consistent finish possible throughout the entire barrel and the barrel ring. I had this one, which has actually a not terrible finish, and it has a finish on the barrel ring. The other two that I got were definitely rougher, and for some reason, the barrel ring was in the white.
Yeah, I think I saw that in the pictures they posted of them, as a lot of the barrel rings were they just had no finish on them whatsoever.
And I just don't understand that, because I've never seen a barrel ring in the white. Like, why would that part not be finished?
The only thing I'm wondering is if the finish got worn off by whatever they used to mount them in the car or something like that.
They would not be mounted to the barrel ring. That makes no sense. It would be
I
mounted to the
don't
barrel. It
know.
would be mounted into the stock. It would be. I've seen a bracket around the action.
The other thing is, what kind of forend are they using, and could that be rubbing on it or something?
I've never seen a forend like there is no reason why the forend should be making contact with the front of on the outside of surface of the barrel ring. But anyways, and so I had an extra 870 barrel, and I had no 870 to mount it to. So a buddy of mine casually sent me a link that there was a guy in Cochrane selling a Wingmaster for $150.
What's wrong with it?
That's what I said. The guys are like, "Oh yeah, it's an old gun. The butt pad's missing. The finish is a little bit rusty, but it's a solid gun. $150, local pickup only." I was like, "Sold. I'll take the half an hour drive to Cochrane anytime for $150 Wingmaster." So I get there. It sure enough is a little bit rusty in the receiver. The barrel is a little bit rusty, but there's no pitting. It's just surface rust. So that's really good. Actually, I'm lying. There is a bit of surface pitting, but it's very minor light pitting. And sure enough, the butt pad's missing. And when I shit you not, I'm not bullshitting you. The guy pulls it out of the bag, right? And I go and check it, and I open the action, and there's a dead moth inside of the action. You know what that tells me?
It hasn't been touched in fucking decades.
Barn gun. This is a barn gun. It's sat in a barn, and the guy lived in a farm, and he said, "Yeah, I'm like 20 minutes outside of Cochrane on the farm. You want to meet me here?" I'm like, "No, I'll meet you at the Canadian Tire in Cochrane." He's like, "Okay." And I get home and I start taking a look at this thing, and it's in good condition, man. Like I was telling my buddy, like I don't see any reason why he couldn't have tried to sell this for like $250, right? And then I noticed this isn't the stock that it came with. This is the stock it came with. It's missing about an inch of wood. And it's hard to tell, but that cut is not straight at all. So I think this thing got hacksawed.
It's cut it down for a youth shotgun.
Yep.
Mm.
Yep. But like they just took a hacksaw to this. Like they probably didn't even secure it with anything. They just held it down and just went to town on that ass.
Well, that's what you do for your barn gun when your kid's got to learn how to shoot.
Yeah.
He
do.
turned 7. He's got to get himself a shotgun.
Oh shit! I just spilled my wine. Anyways, so I, of course, went into my parts bin and I found an old buttstock that I had that was also missing a butt pad. So I just put in the slip-on pad, and look at that. I have the cheapest 14-inch, legitimately 100% Remington-made Wingmaster out there. $300.
I'll give you a case of beer for it.
You gotta say
No.
you can't just say a case of beer. You gotta say a case of 2 or a pill.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll give you a
pack
2
of
for a
darts.
bud.
No, don't forget the handy. Yeah, other than that, I decided to molest my 357 lever. I hate the semi-crescent butt pad that it has. So I went on CGN, and there was a guy selling a mare's leg with a stock. The package was $450, and he says, "I'll throw in the stock for free." I'm like, "Okay, if this gun sells without the stock, I'll take the stock off your hands." And he's like, "Oh, okay, but I did some stuff to it." And I was like, "Okay, that's whatever. Like, how much do you want for it?" And I'm like, "Okay, how about $100?" And I was like, "How about 75?" And then he goes, "Okay, how about 80? So that shipping is not too bad for me." I was like, "Sold." $80 butt stock for a Model 92 is usually not $80. So what he did is he dremeled it a bit. And for some bizarre reason, he plugged the hole for the bolt because he was going to re-drill it for the Rossi. And that's it. Like, it should fit on the gun identically, and it should have a not stupid butt pad shape to it. And that's the only complaint that I have with that Chiappa 357 that I have, is that the butt stock is got a stupid angle to it. Are you having fun there, huh?
I just got the bolt off, and
Oh,
it's pretty thick. Like I had to get a new rag.
go
here.
throw it in the ultrasonic, man.
That's not a bad idea. I'm gonna wipe off most of the stuff, but yeah, actually, if I get the little piece here in the ultrasonic, that would do a way better job of cleaning. I'll just hit it with some light oil rather than the curving oil got on here. But like, look at the belly of the beast there, just cretted right up. Oh yeah.
Imagine someone who didn't think to clean this first, just went out and tried to shoot that.
It would work for a bit, but then it would start to like oil starts to attract dust and that kind of thing, and
it's a 22 we're talking about, so it's going to be shitting out debris all over the action.
Yep.
Speaking about shitting out debris, I cleaned out that 870, and the dead moth was not the only thing living in there. There was also a lot of crap in there. The inside walls of the receiver were rusty, so I am pretty sure this was a fucking barn gun. The guy also was selling an Ithaca with a busted up stock for $100, and when I asked him if he would throw it in for $50, he's like, "Oh man, I forgot to take that ad down. I already sold it." So I almost got a fucking $50 Ithaca out of the deal, but he already sold it. And then also about shotguns, I went to Victoria because my wife and I lived there for a few years, so we still know a few people there, and we wanted to visit before Danny would cost us an extra seat. Travel with your toddlers, folks. It's free. And they had sporting clays at my old range. So I thought to myself, well, I want to go shoot sporting clays at my old range. So what do I have to do to take my gun through WestJet? They have a $50 fee for another piece of checked luggage. They have a $50 fee for oversized luggage. And they have a $50 fee for overweight luggage. So if you take a gun case and you stuff your shotgun in there, it might not be overweight, but it sure shit will be oversized. And since it's another piece of luggage, they will charge you both fees, 50-50 for $100 to take your gun there. And they'll charge you another $100 to take your gun back.
See, I remember WestJet used to, if you could manage to fit your gun in your existing luggage somehow, they wouldn't charge you anything extra. But Air Canada apparently has a firearm handling charge.
Yep.
Yep.
WestJet will not have a firearm specific one, I think. Don't quote me on that. But they will charge you for another piece of luggage. They'll charge you for overweight, and they'll charge you for oversized. So if you have all those three, it'll be $150 to take whatever you're with.
So you might as well just buy like a Canuck when you get to Victoria.
Or just mail it, baby. Calgary to Victoria. It's $46.
Mm-hmm.
So I mailed it to myself in Victoria to a buddy's address. He picked me up with my gun. We went and we shot sporting clays, and I beat him. And then I mailed it to myself back to Calgary. And it was phenomenal. Sporting clays, for those that don't know, is like Trap and Skeet had a mutated baby, and then it's way longer and there's way more shooting. The particular event that I attended was an afternoon and a morning. 70 clays between the morning, 70 clays in the afternoon. So 140 shots. And the clays don't fly out of the trap house. They can fly out of fucking everywhere. They can be shot from behind. They can be shot towards you. They can be shot across you. They can shoot straight up in the air. They can shoot rabbits across in front of you, running across the ground. And the stupidest one that even the FUDs with the fancy fucking over-unders could not hit was a clay shot at the back of the field. I'm going to say like 50 meters down range, straight across. 50 meters, just coasting. 50 meters away. Nothing could touch it. You had full choke guns, and there was nothing touching those things. The FUDs there was 5 shots at those types of clays. The FUDs were hitting maybe 2 of them. There was nothing you could do because
this was there's Trap, and there's, what was the other one you said?
There's
Sporting
Trap,
Clays?
there's Skeet, there's Trap doubles.
And what was this one? Sporting clays?
This is called sporting clays.
So this is the cooler one then.
Yes.
If you like variety. If you don't like variety, just go do 5-stand trap and you'll get the same thing every time.
Yeah, if there is an action
this is also
sport
like
for
this is
clays-
also like 5-stand. Like you have different stations. This one had, I think, 10 stations. And some stations, actually no, it had 8 stations. Yeah, it had 8 stations. Some you would shoot 10, some you would shoot 4 shots. And they have a really interesting methodology. Usually they shoot 2 clays. You shoot 2 clays at a time. So if there's 8, you shoot 4 times. If there's 5, you shoot. If there's 8, you shoot 4 times. If there's 10, you shoot 5 times. And they don't send the clays out the same way every time. They have what they call A report B, which is your first clay you shoot, and they will only launch the second one after they hear the report, which is when you basically shoot. Then you have your AB sequential, which is just they send the first one, and then at a time interval they will send the second one. And then you have your true pairs, which is A and B go at the same time. And it gets tricky because you have to decide which one you're going to take first, if it's the pairs. And sometimes, like this one's, you would love this one, Adriel. The ones that would shoot up in the air straight, there were 2 different size clays. So they would go at different heights, but they shot at the same time. So what you would do is you would have to decide if you're going to take the lower one and then go to the top one, or try and catch the top one and then go wait for the second one to catch up to with it. And the methodology used to be is like just wait for them both to crescent, take the bottom one and catch the tall one on the way down. And there's just there's strategy involved to it, and it's 10 shit tons of fun.
I mean, if you were to call anything an action sport for clay shooting, it would probably be sporting clays.
Yeah.
Are you round limited on how many shots you can take?
Yes, you have your 2 shells. You have 1 and you have 2 shells. That's it.
Can't preload, ghost load.
No. You load your gun and you go and
do a rapid mag.
I'm gonna ghost load your over under.
I could have ghost loaded the freaking Versamax. I did this with the fucking Versamax with the dongle magazine extension. So I had technically 9 shells available to me, but I only could put 2 in the gun, which felt kind of neutering. But I had a magazine extension, and I'm pretty sure that has never been done at the Victoria Fishing Game. That was a lot of fun. But yeah, I think that's it. I think that's all I've been up to. Crazy, what have you been up to?
I loaded 300 rounds of 38 and then shot it. I had one that fucked up a little bit. It didn't squib, but it definitely somehow got underloaded, which is weird because I'm using an RCBS powder throw. So it shouldn't have done that.
No, don't trust those things.
I mean, even with that,
do you measure every load?
Not literally every load. I would go every 10. I measure the first 5, then every 5 for the next 15, and then I measure every 10 after that.
That's
so
correct,
instead of using a scale, go to Cabela's online and find yourself the Frankfurt electronic scale. It's $30 and it's a lifesaver, because what you do is you take your shell, you put it under, you sear the scale, you dump the powder, and you put it back on the scale. It will give you a plus and minus like 0.2 grain estimate of how much powder you threw in it, and it's not sitting there and fucking playing with the sliding scale.
I think this is like some sort of poor language you guys are talking about. I have a scale. I type in how much grains I want, and it just measures it. How
much was that thing again? $500?
300 when the US dollar in Canada was at parity.
I don't got time for that kind of shit. It's a powder throw. I go and round goes up, throw powder.
It immediately depends on the powder you're using too. What were you using?
Tight group.
Yeah, tight group. See, that's the problem. That's flake, isn't it?
Yeah, it is flake.
Flakes are a pain in the ass to use in those powder throws.
I mean, it's never given me a problem before. It was literally just this one round, and I was like, "This is very weird," because everything else was consistent throughout the thing. Every time I would measure, it was consistent. It was just this one that got some weird low throw in it, and I don't know how or why. It cleared the barrel because I went and checked. It did not squib. But
you
it was
ask and
like
prove? Did you ask and prove?
Yes, and I got in shit for the E part of prove. Granted, I think out of force of habit, when I'm cleaning a gun, I turn it the whole way around and look down the bore. And generally, you don't turn the gun the complete way around on the firing line. So I understand why the RSO gave me shit for that. You are supposed to examine the bore by tilting it up and bringing your head over, not by holding the gun up and turning it around. So that got me in shit. But I acts and proved the fucking thing afterwards, and that is the only time you actually bother to examine the fucking bore is when you think that something might be stuck in it. There was nothing, but like it was literally like bang bang and then quiet bang, and I was like, that was not right. And my mom was next to me, and she's like, that didn't sound right. So immediately the gun was emptied and examined, and yeah, it was no big deal. Those reloads were fairly accurate too. We had like a little friendly competition thing after lunch at the club, and me and my mom both tied in score. So we had 6 shots at like I think it was a 20 meter rapid fire pistol target, like one of those standardized whatever the hells, and we both scored 57 because they were like you get 6 shots, and of course the maximum score is 60.
Oh, ooh, that's pretty good.
But I beat my mom because I had more of them touching the bullseye than she did. And I shot that with my Smith & Wesson, and she shot it with a CZ Shadow. So, CZ Shadow is a very accurate gun.
Oh, yeah, no, they're good. I mean, you're talking pistols at 20 yards. You're not going to get that.
We weren't even at 20. We were at like 10 for this. It was just a 20-yard target is what we were using. And then you can see if I turn, there's 2,000 rounds of 9mm over there.
Aluminum?
Yep, it's just that federal aluminum case shit.
Yeah.
It was $200. 1,000 for myself, 1,000 for my parents.
From who?
And,
Tendies?
Yes, from Tendies. They're like a couple blocks from my work. I literally stopped there. It's on my way home. And I know that they're kind of shit to deal with online. Like I've heard a lot of people, like when you order shit online, it's kind of a pain in the ass. But going in person in store, like it's not. There's no problem because you're in the fucking store.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, I mean, that's about all I've really done is shoot the revolver pretty much, and then shot my Bursa a bit. You really do have to change the sight picture on that Bursa in order to get it to shoot accurately, or it just in general shoots low. Like the regular way to line up the sights, where you go and line up the top of this with the top of that so that it's one flat line, that just doesn't work on that gun. It's got a 3-dot, and like the front dot's way bigger than the back two, but you got to kind of line up the middles of the dots, and that almost ends up lining up the bottom of the notch with the bottom of the front sight. So when you do that, it shoots accurately where point of aim is. But when you do it normally, lining up top to top here for one flat line, it'll shoot like even at 10 yards, like two or so inches low. So yeah, it's just a matter of. And even when I asked tactical imports, they're like, yeah, you got to more so try and line up the dots rather than the top of the notches. So
you actually asked them, why does my gun shoot like shit?
Well, when I posted about it when I shot the Barnaul and it shot fucking 6 inches low, they were like, yeah, the sight picture is a bit different. You got to line up the dots rather than the whatever. And so when I do that with like CCI, it shoots fine. When I do it with Barnaul's just garbage.
Yeah, I have heard of that. Some guns that use dot, you have to line up the dots and not the notch.
Yeah, and that's how this one works. I noticed there's some people on one of the fucking gun discords I'm on. After Tactical Import started bringing these in, I Run Guns started importing the threaded ones from the U.S.
Oh, greasy.
And I've seen some people getting the threaded ones instead of the Tactical Imports one with just the smooth dong on it there.
It's not that bad. I've seen dongs that just look stupid. The dongs on those ones are all right.
I mean, there's no way around it, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like when we used to get those Baikal Makarovs in, and they had the stupid dong, and it's like, there's nothing you can do other than vote
Can you even
conservative and
buy
pray.
9mm Makarov here?
Yeah, you can. Yeah. TradeX probably has ammo. Canada Ammo's got ammo sometimes because some of those guns made it into the country, so you got to get ammo for it.
I suppose.
Canada Ammo's even got 5.45 by 39, which there's nothing that's not illegal in this country that shoots that ammo.
Oh, like the AK-74 ammo?
Yeah.
Huh. Neat.
I guess if you want the novelty of having it for your Prohib AK-74 that you bought in like 1993, then yeah.
I guess so.
Not like you're ever going to be able to fucking shoot it.
Yeah.
And this firing pin's hilarious. Like a little chisel point.
Oh, look at
that. On the end of a tube. Looks awful.
Yeah, beyond that, I went to a gun show, actually, with my buddy as well. The Woodstock gun show. And it's the same as every other shitty gun show in Ontario. All of the gun shows in this province are garbage unless they're put on by, like, TACCOM or something like that. Because, like, what it is it's a bunch of old guys. Like, the average age in the place is, like, 75. And it's a bunch of fucking old guys selling boring FUD guns for way too much fucking money. Like, I saw some guns that they were asking more than retail for, like, a 30-year-old fucking 1022. And, like, there's
one. I've not been to a gun show before. That sounds perfectly gun show.
That's exactly. I've been to the gun show before. It was exactly the same as it was 5 years ago, the last time I went to the gun show. But my buddy just got his license in October. So I'm like, hey, let's go to the gun show. And so we went to the gun show, and I told him, don't buy anything here because it sucks ass in price.
You can look, though.
Yeah, that was the thing.
You can go there for finger fuck guns if the fuck doesn't have a trigger lock on it.
There was one guy who had some really interesting, like, rare, weird, fucking old guns. There was a double barrel that was bolt action.
Yes, I've seen that thing.
It was really weird. It's like you cock back a bolt and then drop the shell in and close the bolt on each barrel. It's fucking weird.
Yep.
The guy was saying, like, oh, there's only a few thousand of these guns were ever made.
I think Gun Jesus has a video on one of those things.
Probably. I mean, it was incredibly interesting to see, but there's no way in fuck I was paying the fucking $8,000 or whatever the fuck he was asking for it.
I have found precisely. Okay, keep going. Sorry.
And then there was people with there was one table that had a bunch of old lever actions that they wanted fucking nothing less than $1,000 for some fucking Winchester 94 from the 70s or some shit.
Well, the thing is, there's people that legitimately collect those things, and if you start getting into the RCMP Centennial Buffalo Edition of Alberta, you can.
If you start getting into shit like that,
they sold those in the 16, 20, and 24 inch musket lengths. So you have to get all of them.
Exactly, but this was just half of them were just a fucking regular ass Model 94. No. And then the guy's selling a 30-year-old 1022 for $500 or $400 or fucking whatever the hell. There was the nylon, nylon 66.
I finally believe you.
Yeah, I actually got to see it because on the video it does not look green. When you see his video, I can confirm it is green. It's a very dark green, but it is green. There was the one that was pretty cheap that the guy had it was threaded on the end of it, and the threads were all kind of fucked up. I'm assuming that they did not come threaded, and that it had been threaded at some point in the past, and that's why that one cost $200 less than all the other ones.
Yeah. Those guns are weirdly expensive, and in the US they're weirdly expensive.
Yeah, it was, and then there was fucking bunch of random old shotguns. There's one dude who had a Type 81, and he wanted $1,200 fucking dollars for it, and I'm just like, are you fucking kidding me right now?
Did he have it listed as the only non-legal AK or the only legal AK you can buy in Canada?
Pretty much. Yeah. He's an AK lookalike from China or some shit like that, and I'm like. Looking at this, and I'm like, I've seen these on CGN with 5 mags and a drum mag for $1,100. Fuck off.
They sell drum mags for those?
Yeah, some people have somehow managed to get them, I think.
Weird.
Because they had the machine gun version.
That's not an AK mag, that's a Type 81 mag.
So yeah, it is. But there was a machine gun version. I think there was a drum mag made for it. But I've seen, even if it wasn't the drum mag, he had 5 mags for it. The sling, fucking whatever.
The Type 81 can take an AK mag,
No.
Yes, one
You
of those
gotta
can
fuck
take an
with
AK
it.
mag. Yes, one of them can. Like the factory mags aren't AK mags, and they lock open.
Yeah,
Yes.
they do lock open. Yeah, but I've heard if you fuck with an AK mag, you can make it fit, but it
Yeah.
doesn't fit by default. But yeah,
Maybe.
it was boring. And then my buddy went out and bought a 1022 in stainless afterwards from Bullseye because that was just a much better option. And then his first chance to use it was when his sister-in-law called him up and said, "Hey, our dog's mauled a raccoon on the farm up here. Can you come deal with it?" So he was like, "Yeah, the 1022 works well."
That's called the farm medic call.
Yep. But we went out shooting before that. I brought my 22 and my dad's 22 so that he could go and have a chance to shoot them before he bought his. I brought my 9mm because I bought it like when I was visiting him in fucking on Canada Day last year. So he finally got a chance to shoot that. I brought my Howa. He brought his 270 down because he'd got a 270 and hadn't had a chance to like sight it in and shoot it and all that. So we did that. Got it sighted like
270.
yeah, he got a Axis too, so it was
Okay.
it's a pretty
Cool.
decent.
Yeah.
Pretty decent. The Acu trigger on that's nice. And
Hold on a
we-
second. Oh, I have to go pick up the revolver.
oh,
Okay,
But,
I'll just leave this off. You guys keep going. I should be back in like 25, 30 minutes. Okay.
We'll probably finish it, but we'll go to after show.
probably.
Yeah.
But yeah, we sighted his 270 good enough for like it was a pretty cold day that day. We got it in enough that we're like, yeah, we can't fine tune this anymore until the spring. And then we started shooting my steel with it. I brought my Howa and I brought my SVT. And I decided that I didn't feel like cleaning it that day, so I bought some non-corrosive ammo for like fucking $25 a box. It made a huge difference compared to the Chinese garbage that I have now. Like you can't hit shit with this Chinese fucking bulk 7.62x54. It is inconsistent garbage, and a lot of it is hot loaded, and the case head's split all the time. But with this S&B stuff that I bought, like it was actually doing pretty decent at 50. And the SVTs are just so fun to shoot. Like my buddy, everyone who I have brought to shoot when I bring the SVT 40, all of them say that it's just they all smile and they're like that gun is just so fun.
Well, they're light, but they've got a brake on them, so they don't kick a lot, and they're a well over designed firearm, but super interesting. Yours is reliable then?
It's got its own concerns. I probably have it overgassed.
A lot
but
of
that
them,
keeps
like, the cycling is.
Yeah,
give or take.
when I did it, it was like I was tuning the gas in the winter time. It was like -10. Fuck knows if there was still any gunk anywhere in it, and I just never bothered to adjust it since then. But that keeps it cycling fairly reliably. It's just the hold open is kind of sticky on mine, so there will be times I'll have to give it a couple yanks before it'll close. Sometimes it just won't hold open as well. I'll have to pull it one more time and it'll lock itself back. And then the SVTs chronically have the gas system come loose, but I found if you get the actual gas system adjustment tool and fucking heft down on it, it keeps it locked for a good couple hundred rounds.
Yeah, that little pentagram.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's that, and then just not having to deal with cleaning the fucking everything from corrosive ammo, because you got to clean you got to take the bolt out, you got to take it all fucking all apart, you got to get in the gas system in the front. It's just such a fucking pain in the ass, and to be able to just like, since I was going to his place afterwards, because he lives a lot closer to Woodstock than I do for the gun show, I did not want to bother trying to have to clean that fucking thing in his basement, so I just the non-corrosive, and then just haven't cared. I still haven't cleaned it since I went to the range like 2-3 weeks ago. I don't need to.
Yeah, that makes a big difference. I did that test with the corrosive ammo and non-corrosive ammo, and the corrosive stuff, couple days, rust. Like,
oh yeah,
and good. Whereas the non-corrosive stuff, I mean, it's black, but like that's from carbon.
Yeah, I've literally had it in 2 days where my SVT has started rusting because I didn't feel like cleaning it and forgot for a couple days. I took it out and there was rust fucking like everywhere. Rust in the chamber, on the bolt carrier, in the gas system, fucking I had a really bad case of rust on the bolt carrier in that thing when we had a humidity problem here one time. It was really not good. But yeah, it's pretty much all I've done because I'm trying not to buy any more guns. I'm sitting here. I went to the motorcycle show and I'm debating buying one of those instead.
What do you? That's not good, but what are you thinking of? Sport bike?
I was actually kind of thinking. I was thinking you can get really cheap cruisers, and I prefer the cruiser style to the sport bike style. But if I was going to buy new, I was thinking of an adventure bike because I like the idea that I could take it off road, even though there was no off road to around here. So there's that. But yeah,
Go for a rip downtown.
yeah.
Go through
It
some
got me
pedestrian
thinking, like,
areas.
you get a good adventure bike and you want to go like off in the middle of fucking nowhere. It gives me an excuse to go buy one of those regulators with the holster and the bird's head grip mounted up on the front of the bike.
Yeah. Cool. I don't know what's changed last time we did a show, or if we have a main topic.
Politically, not a whole lot. I mean, basically, pretty much things are going as most of us here expected. The government's been too busy to immediately act on any kind of gun control. So it's now February and still nothing's been done other than saying they're going to do things.
Not really
So
immediately act on anything.
no, and honestly, the more that these protests go on, the better it is for us because it'll keep them distracted more and more, and it keeps support going more and more to the conservatives. Like the conservatives have no leader right now, and they're currently polling 3 points above the liberals.
Can you guys hear me?
Hello? Yeah.
Yes. You're very quiet though.
I'm in my car.
Yes, we briefly saw the video there.
Pay attention to driving, though. Don't crash.
I
Don't
am.
crash live on air.
That's okay. I won't. So my
But,
volume is okay?
I mean, it sounds like you're in a bathroom or something, but I can hear you.
Okay. That's fine. Okay. Nice.
Yeah, we're just talking about if there was any things that happened since last time we talked. Not really. Government's been kind of quiet on the whole gun thing. Nothing
Yeah,
real-
although I was talking with a couple of friends about it, and they said that they were going to plan to table legislation. Do you know about this, Chris? Like, I think it was, when was that? You know?
I haven't heard anything about any plans to table legislation, but I do know that they were talking about the fact that to implement C-71's stuff, they still need to pass some enabling legislation, and that nothing on any new legislation can be done until that enabling legislation is passed. So basically, nothing's likely to happen at this point, probably, until I'm going to say until the fall. Probably because like they go on break for a week every month. Sometime in like March or April, they get 2 weeks off. They take the entire summer off. So legislation honestly goes at a fucking snail's pace. And they were actually really surprised by the petition. That is one thing. The petition closed. It is now the most signed petition in parliamentary e-petition history at like I don't know, like almost 80,000 signatures, I think.
180.
Yeah, sorry, that's what I meant. 180. My bad. But yeah, so I think I have been hearing some talk that they weren't expecting that kind of response, and that they kind of are at this point admitting that they can't completely just ignore that because like they've got to table a response to this petition, and this petition isn't even technically saying don't ban guns. This petition is saying put any potential bans through Parliament. Don't use an order in council. So the two responses they can have are yes, we will respect democracy and pass it through Parliament, or no, fuck you, we're passing an order in council, blah blah blah, keeping Canadians safe and stupid bullshit like that.
They put in the bit where they can use an order in council though, so like that's their magic trick that they added in.
Well, the Liberals added that in the 90s because that was the thing back in the 90s. Is Jean Chrétien. Yeah, but Jean Chrétien and Alan Rock added that in the 90s And then Harper added in the ability to deem non-restricted, because Jean Chrétien only added in restricted and prohibited for Order in Council. Harper added in non-restricted, and the Liberals spent from 2015 until 2019 claiming that that was political interference, and that classifying like that's political interference, and saying they were going to eliminate political interference from the classification system. What do? They removed the ability to go non-restricted through Order in Council, which means that they deliberately and consciously chose to leave the ability to go prohibited or restricted, which, by their own admission, would be political interference in the classification process. But liberal hypocrisy is a bit of a redundant statement. I don't need to repeat myself, say the same thing twice.
I fucking love it.
But the other thing was, we can't order these people off the train tracks, but he's going to order our CMP to our doors to confiscate our fucking ARs.
And
they can come grab a lower. That's what they can do.
Yep. So that's the thing. As I was saying to Adriel before you got back, basically the longer these protests go on, the better it is for anyone who wants the Conservatives to win, because this is just making Trudeau look really bad. And the fact that here in Toronto they've been blockading the GO train lines, and GO is like regional mass transit. Like, it gets out to all the suburbs around here. And there's like hundreds of thousands of people that take GO every day. So like when they start blockading commuter rail lines, like not just freight and like long distance passenger, when they're doing daily commute rail lines, public opinion is going to turn on these people like fucking that the second that people can't get to work, can't get home from work. And that's already happened. There was like 4 blockades today.
Yep, love it. Love that it puts Trudeau in a hard place, because then maybe he won't be able to pass all this gun legislation. And in Alberta here, we just like, I don't know, send some rednecks out, and they like
a couple good old boys just show up with a pickup truck and clear it out.
Sorry, we're taking all this trash. We're taking it to the dump. Sorry, can't.
Everyone's all vigilante. Fuck off! No one else is doing anything that's garbage. They're cleaning up. Hashtag trash tag. Cleaning up garbage on public-ish land.
I don't even. No. That's not public land. Like this whole thing,
and that's actually it's private land, because that's.
No, you haven't heard about this, maybe. The Alberta Premier is passing legislation to stiffen penalties for people trespassing, because all these blockades are technically occurring on private property.
Yep, because the rail lines are owned by the rail companies.
Yeah, exactly. So the legislation that the Alberta legislature is currently able to take a look at basically will make sure that if you obstruct, like I think they have
critical
something like primary infrastructure or something like that, then you're gonna get fucking thrown the book at you, and if you are trespassing, you're gonna get the book thrown at you.
Well, and that trespassing thing will also help, because I know they said they were going to change things to make it so that people protecting themselves after the whole Edward Maurice shit, to basically be like, you can't sue someone if you get injured while you're robbing them. And this whole thing of enhancing rules about trespassing will help further in the future then for any other idiot who thinks they want to go and try and rob some farmer.
Yep. I love it. It's so good. It's so good. You should come to Alberta.
Well, we got no jobs right now. There's this whole like we got no pipelines, no jobs, dude.
No pipelines, no jobs. There's no jobs here
in the country, I think, other than Newfoundland, maybe. Newfoundland's maybe worse than us.
And stock markets are in free fall from the coronavirus, and recession's just around the corner. Housing everywhere is unaffordable.
Housing here is all right. But
housing you can get a house in Edmonton for $100,000.
Well, no, you can't. But
you can. It is a house.
I live here. Don't tell me about
it. It is a house. You can purchase a house for $100,000 to $150,000. Whether you want to live in it, it's another story. But they are available.
Street. Yeah, but it can be affordable here, or Alberta in general. But yeah, our job prospects aren't looking great right now. Anyway, it'd be nice if the Liberals don't win, and we're able to our guns.
Yeah. So the main concern, like and around this whole protest shit, the Conservatives promised to table a vote of non-confidence, which was a terrible idea because they don't actually want an election right now because they have no leader.
I think it wasn't. They didn't actually want to win that. They just wanted to come down strong on it and say we aren't confident in you guys. You guys aren't doing the right thing. And I think like the intent was good. I don't know if that's the right strategy or not. Like I'm not a
No, I mean,
strategist, but
the only thing I was wondering is like if Andrew Scheer was hoping to pull a Pierre Trudeau and Joe Clark situation where he resigns because he loses the election, and then 6 months later the government falls and he unresigns and wins the next election. That's not going to happen. Scheer's not going to win an election.
No, I don't think that was the idea. I think if anything, it was just like an easy way to score points because the Liberals are responding poorly to this.
The biggest mistake the Conservatives made was not just converting their April policy convention to the leadership convention and just trying to have an accelerated leadership race. Because waiting until June leaves them in a really bad position, especially with Trudeau fucking up like he is now. They got to wait until so long, and then they can't even try and topple a confidence vote until September, October, because of how long the recess is for the summertime. And
which is why it would be good to score some points now to say like, oh well, we told these guys, hey, you got to take action, and they did.
Here's the issue: is
billions of dollars.
It's 6 months between then and now, and a lot can happen and a lot can change in that 6 month period in terms of public opinion. Yeah. But realistically, like Peter MacKay is going to win the leadership of the Conservative Party. And pretty much, I'm pretty sure that as soon as they get back from that, they are going to push hard to knock the Liberal government over because they know, like, and polls have been saying MacKay is the most electable person the Conservatives can put forward.
They'd have to make sure. Anyways, yeah, the NDP will have to be strong as well because
I just picked up a gun.
Yeah, I saw you went on mute there. I was like, he's getting a gun now.
So that's the thing though, is potential with the NDP. They might just have to get them to abstain from voting as long as they can get the Bloc to vote with them, and the Bloc will be the ones to most likely gain in Quebec. So the Conservatives are just going to be like, we're going to gain in Ontario, fuck Quebec, and the Bloc are looking at it going, we're going to gain a lot in Quebec. They might go and be willing to vote against the Liberals because they'll gain a bunch of seats in Quebec at the Liberals' expense.
Are we talking about voter non-confidence on the budget and then another election?
Yeah, but it's not going to be on the budget. Scheer is not going to want. They're not going to want Scheer to run another election.
No. I mean, so you're looking at when's the budget and when is the leadership race for the Conservatives?
Budget's in April, as far as I'm aware, and the leadership race is in June.
Ah, shit. Okay, that's not going to happen.
Yeah. They're not going to be, like I was saying, they're not going to be able to topple the government until September at the earliest.
That's a good point then, yeah. What happened? You guys still there?
Yeah, we're still here.
Yeah, just thinking. All these parts are super rough.
I mean, I don't know. Is there really anything more to talk about?
No. There is some stuff, but let's talk about the sub, because I do want to bring a couple of things, and for the 6 people to watch, they can
delete a lot of threads. Like, a lot of threads are crap. You guys delete a lot of threads.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. The thing that I wanted to mention specifically is that there seems to be a sentiment in the subreddit regarding political threats and how they are managed by the moderation team. Now, after much discussion and several instances of days where lots of things happen and the sub turns to a pile of shit if we allow everybody to post a link to their local article on the big news, and then they decide to make a post separate to that, voicing their opinions, and split up the conversation among 27 different posts about the same fucking thing. No, we are not going to let that happen. Sorry, it is not manageable, and it does not, in fact, stifle free speech to try to condense the conversation into one thread. That thread, more often than not, unless it is a very significant event, will be the political posts. We have decided that it will not be a 3 times a week thing. You're going to get a Monday to Thursday, and then you're going to get a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, weekend ones. It helps, folks. It makes things easy, and the number of people that do not like those threads, I believe, and the moderation team believes, is outweighed by the amount of people that are going to see less of the same thing being discussed across many different threads.
Like, I remember there was one time I
all I
messaged
could
you
hear
about this
was
shit
Heil
because
Hitler and a bunch
Right,
of Nazi
right.
stuff. I think, yeah, that's all.
Yeah,
That's all I could hear there. Moderator.
yeah, there was one time I remember messaging you because it was like this gun ban shit, and there was like 20 fucking threads just like, what's being banned? Do we have a list of the banned? Blah, 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 blah. It's like, fucking shut the fuck up. Nobody knows. We don't need 30 fucking threads of the same people asking the same question and not understanding how the fuck the search function works. Which in Reddit it actually
I
doesn't.
will say this: the search function does not work. It has
No.
taken me years to figure out how it works, and that's why you should click the fucking links in those threads that have a populated auto search for every single one of the newbie threads and every single one of the politic threads. I had to take a bit of an online course to figure out how to use that function, but I did it, and it works. So shut the hell up and use the mega threads. Because just as you said now, Crazy, that we have a bunch of people coming in and making a post about the upcoming gun ban, I still remove 2 or 3 of those same posts that are made
day?
every day.
No.
Every day people are asking.
I
the same
bet
thing.
you guys are removing about 50% of the posts, right?
I might actually sit down tonight and take a look at what we are removing, because I am a very active moderator.
Well, you have to be, because like sometimes people double up their posts. Sometimes they ask dumb shit things, and it's just like this
Well,
doesn't belong on a thread.
And then they submit another post when their other post gets removed of why was my post removed.
Yes.
I see that on the CCFR Facebook page all the fucking time. Why was my post about whatever removed? Well, fuck ass. If it was removed for a reason. Don't be asking another thing,
Well, you can
reiterating
ask.
your post that was
Just
removed.
Ask an admin.
Exactly. Like making another post complaining about your post being removed, and then reiterating the contents of your post. You're going to get your other post removed again and then be told to shut the fuck up.
Yeah. If you want to see just how much shit I have to put up with, go to my account on Reddit and look at the green highlighted bot comments. And you're going to see that I am commenting every hour 2 or 3 times telling people, go post this in the newbie thread, go post this in the politics thread. That's what I do. Like, that's the majority of things that I'm doing for moderating. And then also banning people. Because the amount of times that I get people throwing the N-word around, calling each other names, getting all up in their shit, threatening to kill our CMP officers that are going to come take your gun. Sorry, that's not kosher. Not going to happen on this sub. If you want to go do that, go to CGN.
That's fired.
Yeah.
But not at RCMP.
But not at the RCMP. Yeah. The subreddit is doing well. We keep hitting milestones. I think we just crossed 25,000 subscribers, which is not an insignificant amount. I'm pretty happy with that number. I'm almost back, so if we want to hold down for another 5 minutes, you get to see the revolver I literally just picked up.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Sure.
We broke 2 YouTube goals with cast. Good thing we didn't cast you banned for sure.
What was that? Playing with guns?
Well, I've been playing with guns and assembling and manufacturing by putting them together.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, sorry,
yeah.
3 rules.
Yeah.
And
3 rules.
you've been live casting with a gun, and that is also against.
That's true.
That's one where I'm like, oh, that actually makes sense. Imagine if like Jake Paul or some jackass from dude was live streaming himself, and he's like, I got a new gun, and I'm on this street and driving down here, and someone, I don't know, robbed him or some shit like that. That would be possible because stream sniping is a thing. But like me sitting in the,
they're just trying to keep themselves from another New Zealand incident.
Yeah, but how quick can they detect that?
Well, they got
They
bots
have
that are
algorithms.
looking
It's
for you
Google.
playing with fucking guns online.
You can have image algorithms not detect that kind of thing. I'll put it this way: an algorithm couldn't detect whether that's an online first-person shooter or that is an active shooter situation. And by the time a real person gets it, it's way too late. Damage is done.
Yeah, probably.
So I don't know. I think that like some rules you can kind of see the logic in there. Some of them you can't.
I mean, it's really just the fact that Google is a California fucking anti-gun bullshit fucking company.
That's correct. Actually, that's one thing we could mention. Don't buy Airbnb.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Airbnb.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody, fuck Airbnb. There.
Yeah. So for people who don't know, there was yet another.
Huh? Connect up the thing there, Rover. Go ahead.
So for those of you who don't know, there was yet another gangbang shooting at an Airbnb in downtown Toronto. What?
Further away. Oh. There you go. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, there was yet another gangbang shooting at another Airbnb in a downtown condo that is driving up housing prices in this fucking city. And so in response to that, Airbnb wanted to seem like they're doing something without actually doing something, so they donated $300,000 to the anti-gun doctors group. So Airbnb is taking your money and donating it to anti-gun groups. So if you are giving them money, you are supporting the doctors for protection from guns. So, basically, a whole bunch of gun owners found out about this and boycotted Airbnb because of this.
Yep,
and a lot of people messaged Airbnb saying exactly why they were boycotting them.
Yep. Way to roll. Delete your account. Say why you're deleting your account. They won't care. But then later, when they're like, oh man, why did you not have such a good quarter? Well, I mean, one of the things is we stance on gun. Some of their shareholders might be like, you did a what? Why did you do that? Choice was that? Oh, take them out. That's.
Hey, look at this.
I would rather have the color of money than. All right, yeah. Show us your gun.
New gun. Hold up. Where's the key? The guy gave me a free case. I was like, fuck. So it's a $300 revolver and a free handgun case.
Did it not come in a case?
Give it to you in a paper bag.
Nope.
I mean, like, I keep all the cases for all the guns that I buy, the cases that they come in. Like, here's the one
Dude,
for my
I have
person.
like 3 of these things. I've been given like 2 of them for free. Look at this. Yeah. What is the number again? 1911. Whoops. I shouldn't have said that.
Oh. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
911.
Just make it the caliber of the gun 022.
Oh,
Hey, look at that guy. It's a merry-go-gat.
Ooh.
It's what, 9-shot?
Yep. So this is an Alpha Proj made in the Czech Republic at Brno. Interesting. It is a model 251C. And guess what, Adriel? There isn't a video of this one on YouTube. I am. It's interesting because, let's see. Yeah, that's like cheap pot metal around the barrel. There's a sleeve. And it's got a front serrated sight, fully adjustable rear sight for windage and elevation. And yeah, there is a spring-loaded firing pin in here.
Yeah, you should definitely put that up on. I was talking to some of the guys on Discord about YouTube videos. I was looking at videos for that Savage A22. There's like 2 okay ones, and I would say that one of them, the guy's being a shameless shill, and the other one is total crap. And I think that there's not enough good reviews. People show the detail of the firearm, show the pros and cons, and talk honestly about it.
Well, I suppose it also depends on the demand for them. Like, Savage A22 is kind of just a fuddy sporting gun, and people are more interested in the tactical shit nowadays, it seems. So, like, if you go look at like the Ruger PC carbine, you're gonna find like dozens and dozens of reviews for that.
Yeah.
And
Trigger on this thing?
whatever.
Oh boy.
whatever fucking AR-15 from whoever the fuck. You're gonna find tons of reviews of that too. But like a Savage A22 is a sporting gun. No one like it's like I'm sure if you were to go and look up like the Savage Axis or whatever, you'd be like some dude in his garage going, yeah. Yeah, here's my Savage Axis.
We gotta mimic the right camera. Let me get some Vaseline and smear it on the lens here.
Just
Well,
to have
even
your internet shit the bed again there for a little bit, Crover, and
yeah, there you go.
The REM 770, like
I
there's a
love
couple
that
videos
video.
there's a couple of videos out on there. Iraqi veteran 888 has one, and he's like, it's a glowing review of that rifle, and then there's a guy in his garage like reviewing it and saying it's awesome, and like for that guy, it's like, okay, that guy doesn't know shit, so like good for him, right? But for Iraqi veteran, like if you're getting on and saying that is a fantastic rifle, I think either didn't put enough time into actually looking into how it's built, or you just don't want to ever do negative reviews.
That rifle is about as good as the transmission in my car.
So
and I drive a Ford Focus.
My favorite example of that kind of shenanigans is do you guys remember the Remington RP9?
Oh,
that little
magazine
No,
pistol?
actually, no. It was the Remington 51, the re-release.
Oh, yeah.
I picked up
worse.
I think, like, imagine Guns and Ammo magazine. It might have even been Guns and Ammo. And they had the Remington 51 on there. And they were sucking Remington sticks so hard.
Yep.
Like, it was like a pufferfish attached to a fucking vacuum hose. It was nuts. They were gargling shaft and the balls.
And then when you look at every YouTube video of it, you see that it's a pile of garbage. That one.
That's
so that was the other one.
Thinking
Yeah,
of the RP9.
yeah. I'm thinking of the RP9,
was
but
just garbage. It doesn't work.
Doesn't work. Completely unreliable. So bad that they recalled every single one of the first production runs and replaced them with a brand new one with an additional magazine for the people.
Well, that 770 went a couple years and discontinued.
Yeah. Well, no.
The 783 that replaced it is a much better rifle.
Why?
Like, there's just guns
it's
out
a
there.
Marlin copy of a Savage rifle, so yeah, it's a better gun.
Like, there's just a lot. There is a lot of quote unquote innovation out there that gets lauded and touted as the greatest next big thing. SHOT Show is a perfect example of it. The amount of people at SHOT Show just saying that this is gonna revolutionize you guys remember the Franklin Armory?
They do that like that's a PR play for them. I get it.
Was it the Revolution or
the stupid smooth bore thing with the fucking Nerf dart fucking bullets? Yeah.
If you shoot 5.56 out of it, you get like 12-inch groups at 50 yards, and if you buy their special copper ammunition, you get 5-inch groups at 100 yards.
There was another one that I remember, Forgotten Weapons. They really loved whatever the fuck this pistol was. The guys forgotten. Yeah, that one. Yeah. And like Hudson kind of fucked themselves by promise. I think it was aluminum frame, and they promised a steel frame, and so no one bought the aluminum frame, and so they went bankrupt because no one was buying the aluminum frame.
If we're gonna talk about that one, you can talk about that not from a point of view of false advertising or a shitty company. That was poor marketing and a decision that basically shit canned the entire company. The Hudson HP9 was a legitimately good handgun in the eyes of people that I trust their opinions on, because Carl and Ian don't shy away from calling garbage garbage. What happened was the Hudson HP9 was a steel frame handgun in the format of a 1911, similar to it. What happened was they announced the aluminum framed version, which would be lighter and therefore better, people would think. And that destroyed their cash flow because no one wanted to buy their steel frame guns, and they were all going to wait for the aluminum ones.
Yeah,
and
I knew it was
a company that does boutique guns relies entirely on the cash flow of their sales to survive. And therefore nobody bought any more guns from them, waiting for them to release the aluminum one, and they went bankrupt.
And then I know it shot as well. There's a fucking Laugo Arms Alien. Which,
I played
again,
one of those.
Adriel.
Yeah.
Carl and Ian they got to shoot it, and they said, from what we've heard about it, yeah, it's the real thing, but it's $5,000 fucking dollars.
No. It's more than that.
It was 5,000
Because of
US.
the red dot and that kind of thing. Like you guys, like the 2011s are also very expensive.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I mean, aren't the 2011s made by a company that isn't just some random company that claims that the greatest and best new thing?
Correct. But to be fair, the Laugo Alien is pretty revolutionary. It's a pretty interesting gun design, similar like to how the Chris is very interesting and very revolutionary, right? They both got a very unique operating method. Might not actually be that good when you compare it with contemporaries.
I mean,
right now it's almost a cheater gun for production. Because when you
I just checked Tactical Imports, they are $48.99 and sold out because they only sold them for a week this year. And if you did not order, if you didn't order it during that week, you apparently can't get one. I fucking hate that kind of bullshit.
I think that's a good deal though. $48.99. Okay, so the 2011s are $5-6 grand, right? This thing comes with iron sight upper and a red dot upper.
That's so fucking cool.
With red dot. So, like, is it a good deal?
Not for that price, it doesn't. You have to add the upper rail with red dot as an extra.
Oh, I see. My buddy got the package that came with both.
And it's an additional $750.
I see. Well, it's quick. Like you punch a pin in the front, out comes one, in goes the other, push pin in.
I mean, even though the thing with this is, what does this really offer you, realistically, over a CZ Shadow in the same kind of situation?
I've shot the Shadow more, so I prefer the Shadow, but the Laugo, the recoil on it, it's like a slap in the hand. You don't feel any torque, no torque at all. It's just a slap in the hand.
Yeah, because it's very low. The bore is dropped down, and it's very low bore axis. It's
like in line with your top knuckle.
Exactly. So, I understand this kind of thing, but even still, like, and I know it's accurate, very low recoil, all this kind of stuff. But realistically, for what you're getting for that price compared to a Shadow or a Shadow 2, or even like you go fancier SIG P210, things like that, like I don't think you're getting enough extra out of this Laugo to warrant spending that $5,000.
Like that, this is like, imagine you shot IPSC production and you wanted the best gun possible. That's the best gun possible. Yes, the CZ Shadow is really good. It's really good. But that gun...
Now, is that on the list for production?
Yes, it's on the list.
Are you fucking kidding me?
It's a single action hammer fired
How much did they have to suck? How much did they have to suck USPSA's dick to get that on the fucking production list?
IPSC worldwide, it's on the production list. Now the red dot version won't qualify you for production optics, because with production optics, your slide has to reciprocate with the red dot, whereas on the Alien, the slide and the red dot just stays there.
Yeah,
so that doesn't work. But for production, you have a non-reciprocating set of iron sights, which some fancy 1911s have, like an island barrel where the front sight doesn't move, kind of a thing. This thing, neither of the sights move. Just a tiny little slide moves back and forth.
And with the recoil impulse very low into your hand, like I still like
I think they need one more version of it, but I think that concept is super interesting, super good idea. They just need one more version, and I think the Hudson H9 is a really cool pistol as well. And I think that with the right materials and the right manufacturer behind it, they could have made that thing, have some better legs.
Well, no, it was a fully working gun. That was a design
but like manufacture, like if you're gonna design and troubleshoot and debug and manufacture, it's too much for like a little company. You need millions of dollars to make that shit work.
Yeah, no, and that's Ian in Forgotten Weapons, he's made videos that are parodying. I mean, no, you're parodying what he said in those videos, basically, or you're repeating basically what he's already said in those videos. Is that?
But I mean, how big was Desert Tech before the MDR?
Well, the Desert Tech is just a front
big.
for the Mormon church, so they've
That
got
I
all
had
the
not
money
heard,
they
but I
need.
mean, like the MDR was a pile of unreliable garbage when InRange first got their hands on it, and they showed that it was a pile of unreliable garbage. But Desert Tech's response, rather than going bankrupt, was to ask them, "All right, what are you doing, and why isn't it working?"
Hey,
and to work with them to fix it.
it's a front for the Mormon church, so they got all the money they need. Didn't you understand? Desert Tech, please send me your guns.
I would expect that more from Browning, given that he literally was Mormon,
What?
based in Utah, in like Mormon country, Utah.
Anyway, who cares?
Anyway,
Yeah, it's
Cats.
I think
Cats,
you
cats,
need
cats.
a lot of money to make that work, and you need to be able to survive a couple of years of big losses. Hudson
Yep.
couldn't do that.
No.
Hudson needed to survive another year, or like the smarter thing for Hudson to have done would have been to take that design and say, shop it around, take it to Ruger, take it to a couple of other places.
You know
Hey,
who? You know who would have done it? Brownells. Those guys are fucking crazy now.
Well, yeah, they're doing all their whole retro line, and now they're doing
What would
the What Would
Stoner do?
Stoner Do 2020.
Yep.
so good.
Those guys are insane.
The
Those,
fact
like,
that it's got that mono unit polymer lower, where the whole thing from like the grip up and onto the stock is all one entire solid plastic unit all through there. Like that's just such an interesting idea for them to go and do that.
their What Would Stoner Do rifles are some of the fucking craziest things that I've seen, and they are just so fucking cool. Like the ones that Carl and Ian actually built.
Yeah, because I didn't really watch the previous one, but I saw that they did the whole thing going on the trying to look at Stoner's design mentality. I saw they also had like a what would Kalashnikov do, to which my answer to that is in the current age, Kalashnikov would design a tractor.
Yes. Yes, they would. Yes, they would. Do we have anything else to chat about?
No,
We're good. All right, folks. This video will now conclude, and
It
will
was
be
sponsored
uploaded
by
to YouTube
Raid
because
Shadow
you got to
Legends.
see it on Facebook. 'Cause fuck YouTube. Hey, YouTube, suck my dick. Kill it, Adriel.